Hello, Bill Molyneux here, and Bill's History and Wargaming World and the French Indian War board game Volume 1. Well, we're going to do the next scenario. We're going to play the Battle of Fort Necessity. Now, so I don't bore everyone, it's a little stockade fort with a little shed. George Washington is there. Those of you that don't know anything about Fort Necessity, that's what Google is for. So, we're going to get right to the game. And this is the Fort Necessity Bloody Mohawk game of the French Indian War board game Volume 1, Scenario 2. I'm going to be playing through all the scenarios and post them on my YouTube channel. So this is the new reprint with the super large counters. And even if I have, well, of course I have the originals and I have the pre-originals. This copy is just so neat with the large hexes. But let's go on to the Battle of Fort Necessity, July 3rd. A note about this game, Fort Necessity is a national park and most of their gift shops are run by Eastern National. And as of right now, I still have no abilities to get any of my games into Eastern National Park Service. So if someone out there knows someone at Eastern National or would like to get a couple copies to Fort Necessity or any of the other national parks and have some connections, let me know. So here we have Fort Necessity, and we're going to start off with, we have one line unit. And then we have 3 provincials and George Washington. So we put George Washington in the fort, and hopefully they will survive. Now this is a historical scenario. I try to make all my scenarios as historically correct as possible. So there was rain. So there was a rainstorm. So in this rule we have heavy rain during the battle. So all die rolls are off by 1. So for instance, this unit here has a 1 through 6 to roll. They need a 1 through 5 to shoot at someone. The natives, if they're attacking, are not affected by the rain, because they're using more hand-to-hand weapons. And something about the Bloody Mohawk system, all my games, is if you're a miniature wargamer, you could trade this out for like a 10-man unit. Depending on your game scale, a hexagon could be 12 inches or 6 inches. And these make perfect miniature wargame scenarios. So, our British are set up, our provincials. The natives consist of 4 native units, a French leader, French Marines, and a CDB unit, which is a Coeur de Bras, which is a woods runner. And unfortunately, they're not used very often in the game. They're sort of an in-between of a Malise and just a wild man, but I did include them because they were in some of the French Indian War battles. If they are hit, their morale and all are so bad they're actually eliminated. They do not survive. So the French player moves first, and we have rain. Now I can set up any way I want with these French units, and I decide to place them over here and here. And we're going to commence with our movement phase. So I'm going to keep him in reserve, send this Marine in, and that native in. And then over here, we're attacking there, there, and there. So, the reason I've done it this way is they're going to fire back. So this 1 through 6 is going to fire at this native. It's a 1 through 6, but firing at woods makes it a 1 through 5. We have rain, makes it a 1 through 4. And then I have the trusty dice box right here. And we rolled a 1. So this native unit actually has been hit. One of the neat nuances about my game is when units are flipped over, they're not always half the value. A line unit goes from 1 to 7 to 1 to 6. A native unit that gets hit actually goes to a 1 to 3. So we got to see if this native unit's going to run away now. And we rolled a 9. So he actually falls back 1. And then over here, we're going to have this unit fire here, 1 through 6, 1 through 5, and it's raining. And this unit rolled a 5. So that was our British provincial firing. So now our units get to fire back. This native is going to roll. Now in the attack, it gets 2 tries. And this unit is in the open. And we missed with the first roll with a 7, but the second roll hit. This native unit fires, and it hit with a 4. So these 2 units firing here, 1 fell back, but we lost 1. One provincial's already gone. Well, we got this native unit firing, and it needs a 1 through 6, and it hit the provincial with a roll of a 1. Now I'm not presenting my dice box. You're just gonna have to trust me that my die rolls are what they are. So this provincial unit, I think it looks like the Augusta Regiment. And then our French Marine unit. Now it's a 1 through 6, but I have a leader. It brings it up to 1 through 7. And you know what? I rolled a 1. So that provincial unit is gone. Now, I kept this coup de bras in reserve. So we now have, it flips in our sequence of play. Now these units get to move. We are losing as the British provincials. The French have to kill off everything. This fort gives them a +2. We already have a wounded native, so I'm going to move this unit over to here. Now, a native unit that's being attacked in its defensive phase only fires once, but it hit. I rolled a 3, so this provincial unit needs to hold on a 1 through 4, and it did. So now it gets to fire back, but at a reduced value. The natives are in woods. 1 through 4 becomes a 1, 2, or a 3. And they rolled a 9. So we sort of disappointing. They went out there and fired on those natives here at Fort Necessity. And we have a turn tracker. And I'll turn the camera. And we advance to turn 2. For the victory conditions, the French win by eliminating here, and vice versa. They haven't taken the fort. Fort Necessity is still there. We play 10 turns, so we're into turn 2. So the natives are very ferocious at this point, and they're calling out for an all-out attack. So we're sending everything in. Now this unit's damaged, so I'm not sending him in. Well, you know what? It's the attack phase. We'll send him in. We're going in with everything. We have French natives, and George Washington had better consider surrendering. So this unit's going to fire at this native, and 1 through 4. And I rolled a 3, so it is actually reduced. Well done, provincials. And on morale, it failed. So this native unit gets driven back in the woods. Now George Washington is here with the line unit, and a lot of choices here. But I'm going to try to take this out right here. It only has one side, and if I can eliminate 4 French units, the provincials win. Also have this native unit, but it only hits on a 1, 2, or 3. So here we go, 1 through 7 with a +1 with George, 1 through 8, and look at that. The Coeur de Bois, the Woods Runners, are gone. So we fired our defensive attacks. Now, our natives will attack. This 1 through 6 in the open, and it rolled a 5. And so that's gone. We lost another provincial. This is a 1, 2, or a 3, but this fort's a +2 bonus. Sometimes I really wonder if I should give it a +2 bonus. It's nothing but a batch of sticks and a shed. I think my backyard fence and my storage shed is more protection than what this was. That's a little humor. I hope somebody out there laughed at that joke. We need a 1. You can always hit on a 1. And they rolled a 4. Now this is the attack phase, so they get 2 tries. And they failed with both. Now, it was raining, and I sort of forgot to remember to use the raining effect of 1 die roll, but we're just going to keep on going. Our natives here attacking George, +2, and they hit. They rolled a 2, so the line unit got hit. Now these natives, they get to roll 2 dice in the attack phase, but they only get to use 1 of the 2 die rolls. We have to see if George has been wounded. And George actually rolled a 1, which means he is taken out of the action. So right now the game is going pretty poorly for our provincials. So we're now at the provincials phase, and I'm in a +2 fortification. I'm going to stay where I'm at, and it switches over to defensive fire. And he needs a 1. This native unit failed the roll. He rolled a 5. This unit needs a 1 through 5, and when it's on the defensive fire, it doesn't roll 2 dice, and it rolled a 7, so it failed. And then our Marines, it's a 1 through 6, and becomes a 1 through 7, but we subtract 2 because of our fort. 1 through 5, and I rolled a 9, which is a miss. Wow, we're going to turn 3. Our French are frustrated that they can't kill off this last group of provincials, so they're sending everything in. Well, it's raining still, so we're going to shoot here. 1 through 6, so becomes a 1 through 5. We rolled a 1. Well, our French are in trouble. They lost another native unit, but that's all they could do. Let's see how our natives do in their attack. And they rolled a 5. So, Fort Necessity has been taken. Another quick, simple, fun, fast game. And what I think is really nifty about this is you can now play it. You can set up the French any way you want. So, when you buy my games, you can also change the rules as you need it as far as the scenario rules. You could say it wasn't raining and have no modifier for your dice rolls. So there is no cannons at Fort Necessity, but there was a couple swivel guns. I didn't add a light gun because I just did not think those swivel guns really helped much. But in your play, you could always add a swivel gun or add one of the light cannons to the game. So the other thing is you could have the French set up in any of the wood hexes as the scenario notes, and then allow the British provincials to set up anywhere in your meadow. And that's what I tried to achieve in this game. Was these provincials really got caught trying to shoot into these woods because they weren't cleared out, and the woods gave the protection for the natives and the French. Well, the Battle of Fort Necessity was a victory. The French lost a native unit in the Cours du Bras, and George Washington was wounded or killed. He lost all 3 provincial units in that little line unit. So it was a 2-4 victory, overwhelming French victory. And this is once again a quick scenario. The idea is you could play 3 or 4 of these games, one right after another. I'm going to put out the disclaimer that these are introductory level games, and they are to educate people about the French Indian War. So, I'm going to conclude with this video that as our scenarios go on, some get larger and larger, and some will be longer and longer in time length. So, I'm hoping you're learning something on the French Indian War from my videos. So this is scenario 2, the Battle of Fort Necessity. I hit my camera, I apologize. Once again, the French Indian War, Volume 1 by Bill Molyneux and Superior, print on demand, Fast Play War Games. And I'm going to close this out. And what's the next game on our scenario sheet, you ask? Well, look at that. The Battle of Monongahela. Braddock's defeat. And what native do we have on the cover? One of the most famous of all the French Indian War reenactors, Tom Hinckelman, otherwise known as the Big Indian. So, I'm going to be setting up Fort Necessity next. I hope you'll consider coming back to my channel to watch that game next. Thank you. Stay safe, be kind, leave comments, and I think that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm getting maybe a little bit better at these videos.